Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the future of Campland on the Bay is up in the air. Environmentalists want it gone, but it might be here to stay for a while. The city vote that could sway the park's direction. Plus, week 2 of a Navy SEAL murder trial, a live report on the new evidence and witnesses. And a look at a California native honored after becoming the first Mexican-American heavyweight champion. We're there for the celebration. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. It's Monday, June 24th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Today, hundreds of people packed San Diego City Hall to weigh in on future plans for Mission Bay. KPBS reporter John Carroll is live at City Hall with both sides of this controversial issue. John.
Hey, Ebony, just to orient our viewers where we're talking about here, Campland occupies a 46-acre site in the northeast corner of Mission Bay Park. By the way, they've been there for 50 years now. Now, the proposal from the owners of Campland is to extend their lease for 5 years. They would also take over a big part of the neighboring De Anza Cove Trailer Park. It was abandoned years ago, and now the remaining mobile homes are falling apart, creating a hazardous eyesore. The Campland proposal includes cleaning up around 100 old and decrepit mobile homes. As you said, Ebony, there were hundreds of people on both sides here today. Now we're going to hear first from two people in support of the project, both from a pre-council rally held down here on the plaza and then from up in council chambers.
We recognize what a wonderful job they've done here with this natural resource for so many years. We're excited for the opportunity they've been given to increase the pathways that we have, increase the amount of people that they can introduce to the wonderful resources that we have at Mission Bay, and to continue the cleanup effort that is desperately needed in that area.
Anyone who goes and walks that site cannot look me in the eye and say that it is not a crisis waiting to happen, and that this is not an embarrassment to the city as it stands. The coastal bike and pedestrian path under this project would be made much safer, much more accessible for the public to enjoy.
The San Diego Audubon Society has taken the lead for a number of groups that oppose the plan. They say the city is merely putting off the inevitable. They say the Campland proposal is a giveaway to the owners of Campland, and they say it does nothing to address serious environmental concerns in that part of Mission Bay. Now, again, we'll hear from one person from the anti-group's rally down here and then from one upstairs in council chambers.
And this proposal before the City Council today does nothing to improve water quality. That's the one measure that they should be doing, and they are not doing it. So we will let them know. You've got to improve water quality through this proposal. It needs to be improved. Do it through this proposal and do it through every proposal that you look at for this particular part of Mission Bay in the future.
The mayor and some of you on council have seized upon the illusion of a quick fix for litigation, resulting from a problem created decades ago, when the mobile home park was approved. The quick fix is only a daydream. The reality is that this fix will likely turn into a nightmare. You are repeating the same mistake council made in the 1960s when it committed the De Anza shoreline to mobile homes.
Now, the vote was just taken. You may see some of the folks, well, there were some just walking by here from either side of the issue leaving now. The council has voted. They voted 6-3 in favor of the Campland proposal. Before any of this happened, a little earlier today, a representative of the Audubon Society told me litigation is likely. Live downtown, John Carroll, KPBS News.
Thanks, John. Testimony continues in the trial of a Navy SEAL. Eddie Gallagher is accused of murdering a prisoner in Iraq and other war crimes. He has pleaded not guilty. Today, new witnesses took the stand. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh was in the courtroom today and joins us with the very latest. Steve.
Well, that's right, Ebony. Today we heard a lot of forensic evidence, including some video. We got helmet cam video from some of the SEALs and some footage from Iraqi TV that showed that the wounded teenage ISIS fighter was at least alive and talking and responsive in the hours before his death. Now, He had been caught in an airstrike, and he probably suffered from blast lung and a partially closed airway. This is according to Dr. Frank Sheraton, a pathologist with the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office. Now, Corey Scott and Chief Miller, they both say they saw Gallagher stab the wounded detainee. Corey Scott, of course, is the one who said that he ultimately ended the detainee's life. Originally, you can see from the video that there is no wound on his neck, but later in photos, there's a bandage over his neck and blood. Sheridan says that's consistent with the story that are told by both Miller and Scott. Also, that the injuries described by the two SEALs could be considered fatal, but he couldn't draw any conclusions from that because he's only seeing these pictures. And the defense points out that in other photos, they don't show any blood on Gallagher, also no blood on his knife. Now, in the afternoon, NCIS lead investigator Joe Warpinski took the stand and introduced a number of text messages which prosecutors say they will show Gallagher was threatening younger SEALs who were threatening to come forward and speak out against him. Later, we talked to defense attorney Tim Parlatore, who has said that they're going to be going after him tomorrow morning on cross-examination.
We have a very extensive cross-examination plan for Joe Warpinski. This is the guy who, put his own career ambition ahead of his sworn duty as a law enforcement officer to find the truth. And I think tomorrow he's going to have to answer for a lot of the misdeeds that he has committed over this past 2 years in bringing this case against Eddie Gallagher.
Of course, that's the prosecution's case. They'll start up, that's the defense's case in all of this. They'll start up tomorrow morning on cross-examinations, and at least one more SEAL is also scheduled to testify. Reporting from Naval Base San Diego, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
June is PTSD Awareness Month, and although the disorder is often associated with members of the military, no one is immune. Here to talk more about that is Lisa McJunkin. She is a family therapist who specializes in PTSD and trauma recovery with Sharp Mesa Vista Hospital. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what are the symptoms in basic terms of PTSD?
So PTSD is essentially a collection of really intrusive symptoms that can range from a high startle response to constantly surveilling your environment to increased feelings of agitation, sometimes some anger acting out and outbursts, as well as sometimes very severe panic attacks. Usually has a lot of really intrusive and interruptive symptoms regarding our sleep. So more night terrors, more night sweats, really diminished appetite, typically kind of causes us to feel like we don't want to be around people. So isolation is a really big concern. So any place with large gatherings of individuals or activity is generally not all that welcomed. And sometimes because of the level of isolation can really cause a lot of hopelessness and helplessness and lack of sense of connection or purpose. And unfortunately, at times it does result in a higher prevalence of thoughts of no longer being on this planet with us. So there's a lot of ramifications of untreated PTSD.
And how does PTSD differ from anxiety or depression?
So PTSD is considered a mood disorder. It's just a very exacerbated and extreme presentation of what a typical anxiety disorder would be. The length of symptoms and duration of intensity is a lot longer. So typically its symptoms are present for at least 6 months after the trigger or the event has occurred. And then the level of emotional distress that it provokes, as well as the level of daily interruption in one's life. So people with really complex PTSD have a hard time maintaining employment, family structures, scheduled routines, things that kind of involve our ability to connect with other people are very challenging.
In being deployed and involved in a war zone, that's understandable that might be traumatic, but that's not the only way someone could develop the PTSD disorder. What other types of traumatic situations can lead to PTSD?
Yeah. So a multitude of other situations can. Essentially, anytime an individual has witnessed or actually experienced directly a life-threatening event, and about 5 to 25% of our population will typically experience ramifications of a PTSD that would result within a diagnosable range, so to say. So it's not uncommon. Not everyone who experiences a traumatic event develops PTSD, but a great majority of our general population does. It's unfortunately misunderstood as being solely combat related, typically. So a lot of the questions I feel regularly are, I never served, I couldn't have PTSD, or other people have had worse incidents than I have. So, this isn't that bad.
And when should someone seek help?
I think as soon as there is a noticeable effort that personal efforts are not working, in the sense of, it's been a couple days now or a couple weeks now, and I'm still having a really hard time. Immediately, if anyone is having any active thoughts of self-harm or harming others, I would say seek treatment immediately. If your traditional kind of grieving and healing methods are not working for you in this incident, then that's the time to possibly seek help. Oftentimes the misconcept is, well, I just need time and this will heal. And then time passes, and oftentimes it just further complicates the symptoms. So I'm usually seeing people come to treatment about 10 years after dealing with these symptoms, and that's caused a fair amount of destruction and chaos in their life.
And on a positive note, there is help. Can you describe treatment? What are the treatment options?
PTSD can now be healed. Evidence is continuing to show this moving forward, that if we address it from a perspective that is really considered more integrative. So we deal with the body symptoms, we deal also with the thoughts, and in the combination of putting those two together actually allow us to really be able to fully discharge all the traumatic memories that have been stored both mentally and physically in our bodies. The good news is treatment is out there that is successful and working. I think in the next 10 years we will see more of these integrative treatments to kind of take precedent over the older exposure models.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Imperial Valley native Andy Ruiz Jr. is the first Mexican-American heavyweight champion. This weekend, he got a hometown welcome. KPBS reporter Max Rivlin-Nadler shows us why the champ is inspirational to his close-knit community.
It's still early in the morning in this border city as people begin lining up along the parade route to get a chance to pay homage to the heavy-set heavyweight champ.
The Bible says be brave and courageous, and that's Andy.
More than a few of them are related to Ruiz Jr., who goes by the nickname The Destroyer.
Ever since he was small, he's always been a destroyer.
Victor Ponce is Ruiz Jr.'s cousin.
I always thought he had a chance, always.
Further down the parade path is another cousin, Hector Ponce.
He's just a funny dude, he's our cousin, he's our family, he's just an all-round good guy, giving guy, and just hard work, It's hard work.
For the Imperial Valley, home to a large Mexican-American population, Ruiz Jr.'s friends and neighbors say the title reflects the community's hard work ethic. Ruiz spent hours each day in the gym, winning fights on either side of the border.
It's crazy how much better he was than I was.
Max Necochea used to spar with the future champion when Necochea was 22 and Ruiz Jr. was just 14. Necochea knew he was already something special.
Punches coming from every direction, you don't even know where they're coming from, and they're hard.
It's 9 a.m. It's already in the 90s in the Imperial Valley heat, but that doesn't faze a community that was ready to celebrate its hometown hero. A young girl boxes with her trainer along Imperial Avenue, in an area where boxing is still a massively popular sport, even as its prominence has faded nationwide. Then, in a purple Rolls-Royce, Ruiz Jr. follows the parade as Imperial residents pour into the street to congratulate their champion.
He doesn't forget his people, which is the most important thing.
Manny Robles is Ruiz Jr.'s trainer. He understands why Ruiz Jr.'s victory, which he came into as a huge underdog against the undefeated Anthony Joshua, has been such a huge inspiration to people from the Imperial Valley and beyond.
It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what part of the world you come from, what part of the United States you come from. You can come from a small town where there's not a lot of people, but when you have hopes and dreams, just anything in life is possible. You just go out, you gotta go out there and get it.
Ruiz Jr. is a superstar now on both sides of the border. Earlier this month, he flew to Mexico City to meet with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Andy Ruiz Jr. was born in Mexicali, where his own father ran a small boxing gym. He came to the United States when he was a young boy.
It's history. It's history for Imperial, Mexicali, Mexico, from everywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Imperial High School and our celebration of Andy Ruiz Jr.
With friends and family sitting in a VIP section, Ruiz Jr. receives the key to the city and awards from local politicians.
You will be part of California's history forever.
Finally, with the bright sun baking the 1,000-strong attendees, it was time for the champion to speak.
I just want to thank everybody, all the awards that they gave me. I love all the Imperial Valley, man. I love you guys. I was born and raised here, and having this celebration right here means so much to me. All the kids that have big dreams, dream big. Everything is possible.
Ruiz Jr. will now have to begin training to defend his title later this year in a rematch with Anthony Joshua. Win, lose, or draw, to the residents of the small border cities of the Imperial Valley, Ruiz Jr. will forever be their world champion. Max Ridland-Adler,
Champion of the world, Andy Ruiz Jr.
KPBS News.
Green Oceanside is a city campaign to promote zero waste. It includes a community kitchen designed to limit food waste and make meals for people in need. KPBS's Allison St. John says it's a concept other cities might follow.
There was plenty of good food at the opening of the Green Oceanside Kitchen, as well as cooking demonstrations and tours of the state-of-the-art kitchen. Colleen Foster, Oceanside's environment officer, says the idea was born after a new California law passed last year mandating cities to cut down on the 40% of food that ends up in the landfill.
We have 1 in 7 Americans that don't know where their next meals come from. So we need to do better. We shouldn't be feeding our dumpsters better than we feed our people. And that's what we aim to solve here at the Green Oceanside Kitchen.
Oceanside, which aspires to be a zero-waste city, used money from its solid waste and recycling fund to build the new kitchen in an existing community centre. The city is working with non-profits like the local food banks and volunteer organisers like Geraldine White, who co-founded Produce Good that rescues fresh produce.
We do it by going to residents who have backyard trees and we pick their trees with volunteers, or we go to farms or have farmers donate their crops to us. And 100% of what they give to us, we give to people who are hungry or to zero-waste processors.
The kitchen will be run by a group called the Kitchen Collaborative, who will work with local food banks, local farmers, big and small, and with farmers markets. They have a 500-square-foot freezer that's empty now, but will fill up with fresh food that can be turned into preserves or microwavable meals and distributed to people who need it. emceeing the opening event was Marcela Valladolid, a Food Network host and cookery book author who lives in Chula Vista.
This is remarkably unusual to have a chef partner up with the city and create an environment where they can take food waste and create food product for underserved elements of the community. I don't see this often. I actually don't see it in my community, and I wish we had it.
Foster says the Green Kitchen will also be used to teach people how to cook sustainably and for job training.
So it's a multifaceted program for food recovery, culinary arts training, and catering services.
She says people from several other San Diego cities came to the opening event to see if it might be something they could also try. Allison St. John, KPBS News.
The work week starts with the return of the sun. Meteorologist Chris Nallen has our forecast for the week.
Meteorologist Chris Nallen talking about Southern Cal, and it is a very nice looking forecast as we head forward. Dry skies continue across the satellite radar composite, and looking into the future, really dry skies continue up north around Nevada in towards, say, inland parts of California. Very nice weather here. And Phoenix, Arizona, you have any friends there? Temperatures well into the 100s now. But we're still seeing that marine layer. That's going to build back into the area as we head into the nighttime hours. But the heavy weather, it's so well up towards the north and west. But if you notice here, some clouds and some hues of green, that's the next frontal boundary that starts to push in by the midweek period. So that may kick up the winds in the midweek. But as of right now, we're looking very dry. For tonight, we're down to around 63 around the metro, increasing clouds per usual here, but dry conditions will remain. Hyperlocal look at your forecast around Oceanside, 60 degrees. Mountain Lagoon a little bit cooler at 55. How about Campos temperature into the upper 40s? So a mix of those numbers. Chula Vista also 62. Into San Diego, it is beautiful under those fair clouds pushing through, and of course right along the water. We'll start out with some clouds, that marine layer, and then we'll see more sunshine developing. Highs will be well into the 70s here. Ramona 78 degrees, and San Diego holding steady into the upper 60s to near 70. So the southwest remains nice and dry and quiet, warming up. Northwest, we see unsettled weather. Midsection of the country, there's a little bit of unsettled weather, but out east, wow, we still see those showers and thunderstorms feeding in here from Texas up through the mid-Atlantic with the chance for more unsettled weather. Let's talk about that 5-day forecast. You can see into the next couple days we go, we'll see those temperatures topping out generally in the low to mid 70s along the coast with some low breaking clouds. Then also the same deal as we head inland. There'll be some low clouds early, then we see the sunshine developing during the day. Warmer, though, as you see those highs by Saturday into the middle 80s. Around the desert, it's heating up, triple-digit heat with lots of sunshine, though. And then around the mountains, this is the cooler spot to be with sunshine, abundant sunshine into your Wednesday. Reporting for KPBS, I'm meteorologist Chris Nallen. Ebony, back to you.
Thanks, Chris. As you just saw, the weather is favorable, which means this is a time when people usually take out their drones. But as drones become more popular, safety becomes a concern. SciTech Now takes a look at how these flying drones are monitored.
So you don't just have hobbyists using drones anymore. You have terrorists using the exact same drone you have access to today in the Middle East, and you have criminals using drones to smuggle weapons and drugs across the border and into correctional facilities.
These are the drones that you and I can buy and have at our house tomorrow from Amazon, right? They come with high-definition cameras. They come with pre-installed GPS systems. This is not an expensive piece of equipment, but it's very sophisticated.
Drones of Prey is developing counter-drone security for critical infrastructure. We're here at the Mission Road Power Plant. It's the future home to Epicenter here in San Antonio.
Certainly, safety and security are paramount. That's both cybersecurity and physical security. Where something like the drones of prey would come in would be in the case where you have a drone that is maybe just for fun, trying to enter into the space beyond the fence. It's already a problem among utilities at their power plants.
So we had to come up with a new solution to make sure moving forward that as the threat grows, we have the ability to detect drones no matter how, when, or where they're being flown. And that's why we at Drones of Prey are focused on using physical sensors like line of sight cameras, infrared detection, and audio detection to make sure that we're as reliable as possible no matter how the drone's being flown. One of the things that makes these drones so useful to carry out any kind of mission is how easily they can be repaired, right? We can lose any of these propellers, we can lose any of these arms, we can lose any of these legs, and have this repaired and ready to fly again within a week. So it doesn't take an extreme amount of work to be able to practice, get better, and then be able to carry out an attack or some kind of malicious mission. You can do it. I can do it. That's why it's scary. So, I mean, there's a few different ways that the capture could occur. It could happen with a claw-like device. We could be looking at, depending on the type of event, just knocking the drone out of the sky, depending on what's on the ground below the drone. So there are several different solution types that could come into play, but really what's most important is making sure this detection and tracking system is as sophisticated and reliable as possible, so that no matter what the end interdiction model looks like, we have the ability to do it on a reliable case-by-case basis. And the reason that we're so excited is Epicenter has been funded by several different energy companies around the Texas area. And as a result of these people recognizing the need to not just develop new energy technologies, but new technologies for the energy sector, for safety and security.
You know, sporting arenas would be my first thought about that as well. Large-scale festivals, but also you think about city infrastructure, counties, state facilities, certainly military would be a core potentially customer there as well. So I think it has a lot of applications. Any place where a drone could be where it shouldn't be, that to be able to have a quick and ready defense, I think would seem prudent to many industries.
For more stories like that one, visit pbs.org/SciTechNow. Beatles legend Paul McCartney sold out San Diego's Petco Park Saturday for the Freshen Up Tour. KPBS science and technology reporter Shalina Chatlani attended the show and gives us this recap of all the excitement.
The show lasted around 3 hours, and McCartney, who turned 77 last week, didn't take a break once, except for the encore. It was a whopping 38-song set.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that fantastic welcome back here to San Diego. Love it here. You know what, tonight I feel like letting go.
It's been several years since McCartney last played at Petco in 2014, but he still brought in a heavy crowd. Over 40,000 people attended the show on Saturday, which included a bright fireworks display and several classics like Maybe I'm Amazed.
See you next time.
Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
McCartney now heads to Phoenix for a concert on Wednesday. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.